Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, guest lecturer, full grammar alchemist, as well as all of our Ruler School students, faculty, and support staff. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will, including a new masterpiece release, to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours, featuring me, DMO73, and the one and only Paul Reisman of FoW Archive.
What's Jamble Jables? I got full art Olivia.
It's Jamblet, but you don't have Uber Olivia's, and so that's not good enough.
No, it's fine. I want to see the whole art.
That's fair.
Don't turn my girl down. Don't turn her down.
We are here. Just want to do a few pieces of housekeeping as we get started. If you like what we're doing, want to consider supporting the channel, click that join button down below. It is the easiest way to support what the channel is doing. It helps us get into it helps us be able to afford new equipment. It helps us get to travel to events. It does all kinds of stuff. We're currently in a membership goal that we're trying to hit 100 channel members. We initially said by April 1st. Doesn't feel like we're getting to that point, but as soon as we do hit 100 members, we are going to go ahead and try to commission a FoW artist to do an exclusive Ruler School mat. So help us out with that, and we'll really appreciate it. And that image will be sent to all members as a allowance for thank you for helping us. So then you can do what you want with that image, whether you use it as a wallpaper or something else like that. So consider that joining us there. Also, if you have not, this is honestly huge. One, get your orders in from Odyssey Games for the new set. They have product. It's still available. Certainly when I get needed. Here's the biggest thing. If you have not already, please consider pre-registering for Force of Will Festival in Father's Day weekend. There is a link to do that in the description. We have received information from the company about our initial promo allotment of how many participation promos and everything else we're receiving. And we have a deadline to let them know if that's not going to be enough by a certain point. So that they have time to send us more if needed. So first off, we can confirm now that Force of Will Festival will have 3 invites to Worlds. First place will be a sponsored invite. Second and third place will be unsponsored invites. And then I have the promos for attendance. If you have not pre-registered for FoW Fest, even if you do it at the base level of and then maybe later want to at the event say, hey, can I upgrade? Which we will respect and allow. If someone does a base tier entry now and then on site wants to upgrade to a high tier, we will allow that for sure, as long as there's some left. That helps us out immensely because it lets us tell the company, here's what our projected attendance is. What you've sent us might not be enough. We're going to need more, and gives the company more time for that. So please consider getting your pre-registers in through Ruler School TCG. We're going to be bringing that up a lot. So please just, if you're planning on coming, it goes a long way. And so we appreciate it. That being said, Paul and I were up last night talking about what we were going to build. And then the company was like, hey, Banlist. So we're going to talk Banlist stuff. And it's quite a bit. I'll preface this with, you are going to see a lot of unbans in Paradox, specifically a lot of stuff that's rotating. So it's no longer needing to be on the ban list for Paradox because it's gone. That's a lot of what this big list is, but it is a pretty big shakeup. So I'm pretty excited to talk about it. They do some pretty interesting conversations here. I'm not going to go into all the details, but they do talk about in the article. I really encourage you to go read these articles. Coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, where we just got, here's what the list is, good luck, and what the mentality of it was. That was literally what we got. We played for so long, Paul. I mean, that was all we got. These articles are honestly really nice. I've really enjoyed getting to learn more about their thought process, their reasoning for certain things, their kind of drive in the direction they want the formats to go. It's really, really nice. And so I encourage you to read that. But let's get into it. Wanderer, not a lot of changes here, which was kind of what we were thinking it was going to be. Not very much. So let's jump into it. Banned Return of Judgment. No longer banned Child of the Light Moon. Isis and Surtur, the DBV Explosion Giant, are combo banned. Loki and Harvesting Season are combo banned. We talked about Harvesting Season being potentially problematic. Arguably, this is the most quote-unquote explosive problematic thing because of Jormungandr, so sure, while still letting silly Harvesting Season stuff happen. And then Chamimi with Explore the Unknown is now combo banned. No longer combo banned is Conqueror of All Dimensions and Ashwin. So now in Wanderer, Gil Lapis Tag can also play Ashwin the Resonator, which is pretty cool. And then Shitalkin and Eggs got unbanned. You can't play Shitalkin and Fishing Spot, but you can play Shitalkin plus Eggs, which I think is interesting to bring back to the format as well. So we'll jump into Paradox in a little bit because there's a lot of conversation to have there. But just off the cuff, Paul, what's your kind of initial reactions to the Wanderer changes?
So all of these, I think, are completely fair because they have reasoned out why they are doing certain things that they are doing, which is really helpful. Shitalkin and Eggs, I think, was the one that I was like, yeah, there's no Ruchiel. That makes so much sense. There's no depths package that is currently in the format that is actually doing any work. I have felt absolutely no desire to do that. So this just makes sense. Just start bringing it back, in my opinion. I played Chamimia at locals and died on turn 1. And so I am currently labbing that. And one of the problems that I noted right away was, oh, wait, I could just... My opponent wasn't playing Explore the Unknown. And I was like, oh, that changes the math entirely. And they're like, yeah, not anymore. So thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
The thing about Chamimi with, like... Chamimi still has the exact same explosive lethal option, like whoops, you're deads on turn 1, like absolute high rolls. But losing Explore the Unknown prevents the like extender for free that lets her just say, good job, you canceled the first thing. What if I just did it anyway? Right? So it makes going for like explosive Chamimi more of an investment and more punished if you successfully stop it, which I think will create shifting in what the final builds of Chamimi end up looking like, that they will play towards more of a traditional turn 2 safety net, turn 3, aggro kill line, rather than just, I don't care what you've done, I'm just going to kill you on 1. Through interaction, right? So I think it's really, really nice. So I like that change a lot. Return of Judgment was also a card that they absolutely needed to hit because literally all of the tag rulers with the new ones would just be able to play Return of Judgment because there's no restriction to it. You are just allowed to play it. So that makes sense that they got rid of it. Child of the Light Moon, also fine to come back in an era of a lot more tag options, a lot more like anti-combo stuff, and in the explosive format, having the like you gain barrier, your opponent can only play 1 spell per this turn as like a diminisher or defensive tool, or even like I'm gonna try to play a combo deck here. Like there's plenty of other crazy combo decks anyway, so like that's fine. Child of the Light Moon can absolutely come back.
Actually, I would say it probably needs to come back.
It is certainly nice to have for sure. Surtur, I haven't seen the crazy explosive. I haven't tested any Isis. I've heard that Isis does ridiculous, silly shenanigans with Surtur. Same kind of thing with Harvesting Season and Explorer. These all feel like things that they did to prevent safe overextension, silly combos that that they wanted to kind of proactively check at the door for Wanderer, which I can respect, right? I mean, that it is a choice to be proactive about it. Hitting a brand new kind of package with an older card is kind of what the combination ban list is for. Was it necessary for Isis? I don't know because again, I haven't played the deck, but I can
I
respect
don't I
them.
don't know either.
But I can respect
Um,
them talking about it.
so literally all I did in my ISIS build is I just took out the 4 Surtur that have swiftness, and I put in the other 4 Surtur
Right.
that gets with runes revealed, does damage to everything on the field, including itself, to get you more sand resonators. Um, I think this is probably the one hit that they might undo if ISIS doesn't do enough.
Yeah.
We just don't have enough results to actually
Yeah.
determine that. But yeah, I agree. Like ISIS, Yo-Yo Y, I don't think ISIS needed the hit necessarily, but we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
as time tells us.
I feel like my chat isn't updating if Yo-Yo said something. Um anyway, we'll keep going. If my chat needs to refresh, then my chat needs to refresh. But now let's go into Paradox, because Paradox, with this Paradox ban list, Paradox and Wanderer are now 2 very different paths. Like, they are going down very different roads. And so
Massively.
we need to talk about it. So, banned out of Paradox, Child of the Light Moon. Okay, so it was previously banned in all formats. Now they're keeping it to just Paradox, which is fine.
Fair.
Memory of Worlds being gone. That's an interesting one to me, but I respect it. Soul Absorption being gone, arguably the last quick cast generic board wipe that exists, which is something that they're like quick cast generic, like just blanket board wipe. There are things like that they wanted to get rid of. Spirits of the Crimson Moon gone now. That's an interesting hit. Leica, they even said in the article that Leica was designed with Wanderer in mind. So like, okay,
Feels like
yep, that tracks. And then Yo-Yo feels like the Wanderer bands, they just hit the silly hydro stuff, which I don't think would have been super good anyway, but I also don't care that they're gone. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm in the kind of same boat where I was like, you could have let these combos exist for 3 months and like see what they do, but I'm also not like disappointed that they proactively hit them. Like, I wasn't trying to do those things, so it's like I don't lose anything. And then okay. And then this is the big one. All of the current Tri-Stones are banned out of Paradox. And we'll talk about that more in a bit.
Very interesting.
Courtesans now fully banned out of Paradox. Engraved Rune of the Setting Sun is no longer playable in sideboards, so we don't just get reveal outside the game stuff. Sealed Glyph of Infinite Loop is banned from rune decks, which I also think is an interesting choice. And Demon Seeking Warlock, because the Demon Seeking Warlock shenanigans combo was absolutely Wanderer coded. Especially now with these other changes that they're doing. No longer banned. Dexia's Advice, very neat to come back. Deadeye of Asterith comes back. King's Hopeless Scream, thank you. I have been saying that honestly in Paradox that card feels incredibly fair, so I'm really glad to have that back. Zero's Light Lightning, Secret Garden, Glorian Bond, Betrayed, Hairpin, Empty Vessel, Yggdrasil, a bunch of things that are no longer banned because they rotate out. And then copy of you're popping your Ambrosia. So that's a great question, Forcible Archive. You're popping your own Ambrosia because it has Faith, which means it has Call of the Valkyrie.
Oh,
so you could just pop your own thing and get a free Valk.
Is that Kilo? Hey, Kilo.
So combination band, Electra and Amulet Orb, Kushiel and Larinka, Vacuous and Lilith, Anana and Gilgamesh, Darksword of Asgard, Mistletoe, and Messenger of Odin. Turn 0 hand rip 2 cards is maybe not good for Paradox. I would agree. It's a good reason to hit it in general. There's other things too, but it's a good reason to hit it. And then we'll go into some other things here. No longer combo banned. Reflect and Refrain are no longer combo banned. We just can't contract with Reflect anymore. It's a little disappointing, but I understand. We still get refrain, I guess. Um, Memory of Worlds and Eternal Eclipse. Obviously, with Memory of Worlds gone, you don't need that on the list anymore. High Speed Uppercut Treatment and Conqueror of All Dimensions. Conqueror's rotating out. Yigdor and Chubby. Chubby's rotating. Silver Key of the Labyrinth and Zakalba. Zakalba is rotating. Awakened Magic Stone, the Earth, and Queen of Ilmardia. Awakened Magic Stone's rotating. Leica, duh. Leica, duh. So, as you can see here, really, it's like 6 things. It's not really a lot. It's just a lot of stuff coming off because of rotations. And then ABC format, Alice's World, Student League's elected member, Arc Gears Grail, thank you. Thank you. The card is...
Thank you.
Winter's Orb is obnoxious for the great... Fishing Spot, Unfavorable Exchange, Mirror Blade, and Eurydice are all out of ABC. So, let's talk about Paradox. Specifically, I want to talk first about these 6 cards. So, I'm sorry that Reinhardt is catching strays, but... arguably, Reinhardt wasn't doing much in Paradox to begin with, and everyone else was just using Soul Absorption instead. Soul Absorption was, especially in an era of Esper being probably the best control color and Stat Negs being at a premium because of all the Eternal running around. Quick cast Soul Absorption was doing a lot of work that arguably was just kind of free to do. So I understand why they got rid of it. Memory of Worlds is a similar reason. Courtesans, they talk about they wanted to power down light a little bit in Paradox, which thank you.
Very fair.
Because white has a lot of protection and they wanted to take care of some of its unchaseable protection. So like that's nice. And then Spirits of the Crimson Moon is a similar kind of vein, right? Free spells are kind of a tricky spot to balance in Paradox. Free bodies that are also spot removal. Maybe not. And then Demon Seeking Warlock. So all of these I agree with. Totally fine. Engraved Rune of Setting Sun and Sealed Glyph of Infinite Loop. I really like both of these because, one, I will say this. Engraved Rune of Setting Sun being banned from sideboards does mean that in Paradox, there is one reveal from outside the game at the beginning of the game card in Paradox. And it is exclusively Fire Pit Trap. And that makes the game simpler for new people. Your sideboard is not hand 3. It's just Fire Pit Trap, which is arguably not a huge deal if you play it or not. Like, some people will use it, some people won't. Okay. Yeah. But it's nice.
It feels like a tool.
It feels like
an additional tool.
Right.
It's fine.
Engraved Rune just being a generic auto include, I think I'm glad to see that not exist in Paradox. And I would argue that the card that I was most concerned about abusing it in, like wanting to have it around for, just rotated. So now you're like, oh, but Hachisuka. Okay, great. Let Hachisuka be in the format. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sure. Yeah, like, let her be there.
And you can still play it in rune decks, which is not awful.
Yeah,
right?
at Divinity 7, it's expensive, but it's still fine. And then also
in your main deck, you know?
Oh, is Hachisuka is Hachisuka? No, she's not allowed to be in the format. Sorry for your loss.
Let me make sure.
I'm pretty sure she has queen duties to do.
Fine.
She's allowed in the ban list. Anyway, and Sealed Glyph of Infinite Loop. I honestly really like Sealed Glyph of Infinite Loop not being in rune decks because it actually brings the entire Expel spell suite back into consideration in Paradox. Like, legitimately. New plan. Smokescreen Bomb, Uppercut, Lunar Protective, all of these suddenly become, in some capacity, haha. I understand. In some capacity, haha. But it brings those spells back into being consideration because you don't have to go, well, my opponent's a rune deck, he's just going to have a Sealed Glyph of Infinite Loop. Right? Like, it's nice. That's a nice thing, I think, to bring into the format in general, which is nice. Do people forget that the Songstress? Yeah, there's counterplay to Songstress. Like, it's totally fine. So I like this change a lot for overall, like, again, allowing more different play lines of flexibility without just, like, hard caps because things that are just generic and everyone will play them. Like, I like that change for Paradox. I'm not talking about the special magic stones. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Loop also just invalidated every rune that you wanted to play and created a scenario where you have to play loop to take care of your opponent's loop. So like that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's just the whole it
um
just made every rune deck matchup the Hanzo matchup, where whoever went first technically won because they played loop and you played loop to answer their loop. Like, we solved that problem and how annoying it was back when we were playing Hanzo
yeah.
in New Valhalla. I'm glad it's gone.
And if you're a new player, you're not just gonna auto include it, right? You're gonna explore the format. You're gonna want to play these other cards, and
Yeah.
so if it's like, oh, if you didn't play this card, well, it sucks to be
And
you.
it's a neat
Um,
card to use in sideboards if you're playing solo mode,
yeah,
as like just play it from hand. You know what I mean? Like, if you're playing
yes,
against a deck that's
100%.
really crazy, we don't have don't cheat. We don't have don't cheat in the format, but if your opponent is
Hmm.
playing a rune deck and they've got a problematic rune, okay, I'll sideboard a couple of these in. You know,
Yeah,
it serves a
it's a
similar
glyph.
vein to don't cheat in Paradox, which is fine.
Oh, but and both of these are glyphs. So even though Gilgamesh doesn't get a Nana, other decks still do, and so she can just fetch that
Yeah,
card.
if
So
she
you can
needs
have
to.
like a glyph package, which is really nice. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool things going on here.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about the special magic stone change in a bit, because I think that actually is a huge conversation to have. But I do want to talk about Dexia and King's Hopeless Scream. They talk about Dexia's like Paradox being a more relaxed speed, and so things like Dexia's like can be fine to play and interact with and everything else. I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. Let it come back. Let's have some silly stuff. We have ways to interact better with cheat in stuff. It's a more relaxed format where 3-cost spells get to start resolving, and an interaction to 3-cost spells start resolving. It's fine. And then also, King's Hopeless Scream. I've said it before. I'll say it again. That card is 100% fine in Paradox. It is a main timing investment of resources that is a pure, like, tempo check. It doesn't generate pressure, it just relieves pressure. And I think that's totally fine for cost to effect ratio in a Paradox environment. I think it's nice. I really like it. So there's that. Now, these ones here I do want to talk about. So, Dark Mistletoe, Inanna and Swordsman, Lilith and Gilgamesh, Kushiel and Larinka, Electra and Amulet Orb. These ones feel like kind of in the same vein as the checks that they did with these proactive hits to Isis, Loki, and Chimimi. It feels like with the format that they were about to create, they were worried or concerned that these combinations would create a power imbalance in the format that they didn't want to explore. So I respect them being proactive about it. And I would like to go through just one by one of why I think that's the case. Electra with Amulet Orb, having a wall of uncancelable that sometimes you just get to start the game with, I think is semi-prohibitive in Paradox, which is why they wanted that to be out of the way. Totally fine, right? It's like, I get it. You want people to be able to interact. So sometimes, oops, I get to just play uninterrupted. Yeah, I get why they did it. Do I think that was necessary? No, but I get what they were going for the purpose of Paradox. Kushiel and Larinka, absolutely justified, because it has a named ability, which means Larinka can play 3 of this card and just tell you to shove it. Because she can just go search for it with her ATD card over and over and over and over again. And pay for it.
Always have one.
And pay for it cheaply because it's a 4-cost card. So even if the cost gets discounted. So in Larinka, Kushiel in Paradox could have been problematic, especially when we talk about, I will say a big part of this is also the format they were trying to create, which was the format without the Tri-Stones. So again, I think that these 5 changes were made in the context of we're losing the Tri-Stones in the format. This one makes a whole lot of sense to me. Larinka is still very good, by the way, in Paradox. Like, very good.
Yeah.
For a similar vein, Vacuous and Pact with Lilith. Vacuous is insanely strong. Vacuous is insanely strong in Paradox. It is an absolute powerhouse of a card in Paradox. Giving it quick cast probably just too problematic for Paradox in general. And quite frankly, as someone who was playing a bunch of Lilith decks pre this ban, I agree. Like, I get it. I understand the point. This card's very good. And Vacuous is still very good without Quick Cast. Like, that's the thing, is Vacuous is still insanely strong in Paradox without Quick Cast. Giving him Quick Cast?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's go. Inanna and Gilgamesh.
I have thoughts on this.
I will let you have your thoughts first. Go.
So the thing that makes Inanna so good specifically for Gilgamesh is you have the perfect turn 1 for your God's Art, and then Inanna is the second perfect turn 1 for your God's Art.
And she's also the perfect turn 0.5 for your God's Art, because if you like are going first and you go God's Art priestess, then on the following on your opponent's turn you just go mistress, here's an Inanna.
Yeah.
Like
on this one and the next one. I get it. You just got your Inanna's Maddie.
Inanna is still insanely good in Paradox though. Like
it's so good to have for Mistletoe. So if you can't play your messengers
or any other white deck, like any other
but I'm talking specifically to Maddie.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, for the Mistletoe. Because she has quick cast, she has that extra layer of potentially not interactable, right?
Right.
And so there's the Defiant, there's the searching out of Durandal, and just being able to say like, hey, my mistress resolved, cool. I'm just gonna put on even more pressure and I'm gonna find even more things. I was already experimenting with Gilgamesh playing his Velmardian protection glyph that you can just search off of her, and that just makes
what we just talked about.
Many things.
Literally what we just talked about of the idea of solo mode infinite loops. Inanna in Gilgamesh, he's a solo mode ruler. So you're telling me that I'm going to let him have a pressure body that then searches him a free cancel spell and also a engraver? Like, the consistency that would create for Gilgamesh in a format without Tri-Stones, in a format where Sealed Glyph of Infinite Loop is no longer rune deck playable, like, legitimately probably concerning, right? As a potential, like, it would probably take a step far, given that we don't have Mirror, given that we don't have, like, you know what I mean? So and
then later in the game, like, not even to mention this, but later in the game, like sometimes by turn 2, even 2.5, she's a 1-cost 12/12,
right?
Who does all of that stuff,
right?
So, like, arguably, she was like a format shaping card. She still kind of can be, but she's only ever going to be a 2-cost, right? She's only ever going to be a 2-cost, which is fine.
Your ruler can be Astral. If you have an Astral ruler, she gets cheaper.
Oh yeah, and if your ruler is Astral, she's cheaper. But that's fine. You traded your ruler for a Gwyber. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I think that's fine. Now, also, Dark Sword of Asgard Mistletoe, Messenger of Odin. This is another one that I have a lot of thoughts on as someone who had been labbing and kind of like in the headspace of Mistletoe quite a bit. You have to think about what Mistletoe is losing, or what Messenger of Odin represented to the Mistletoe deck in Paradox. And again, taking it into the context of we were about to enter a format without Tri-Stones. That all has to be encapsulated in this context. White-black is the most consistent color combination in Paradox as of now with the new stone bases. First up, that's just a fact. Secondly, Messenger of Odin is searchable and quick cast for searches. You search for it for 0, and it is quick cast for 1. And then if you kill it, you just get another Valkyrie. So in Paradox, the idea of like a searchable, like the one that rips 2 cards out of your hand. So a searchable, quick cast, will fixer that if it dies, I get value from it anyway. In a format where not everyone is going to have access to Tri-Stone, no one's going to have access to Tri-Stones anymore, and stone bases are going to get wonky, that was poised to be one of the most powerful possible plays ever in the format. It was very much shaping up to be a potential tier 0 environment. And so keeping that ceiling for Mistletoe in check by removing a utility piece, I think is a smart decision for Paradox. It keeps Mistletoe absolutely competitively viable, but keeps her in the same wheelhouse as other decks, and not just, oops, look at this free value I get, which I think is very smart. I think is very, very smart for the format. Doesn't gain Eternal with the tag ruler. I don't think it gains Eternal. I think it gains Quick Cast. I gotta double.
It gains Quick Cast, and if you have Faith
and Call of the Valkyrie,
it can. It has Call of the Valkyrie and Quick Cast, and if you have Faith active, it can give Eternal to another entity.
Let me double check. Let me check what Gary and Frecky says specifically. Gary. Entities named Messenger of Odin gain Defiant 2 and Eternal. So, yes, it's hard to destroy, but even if I did somehow manage to get it. But then, even then, in that context, giving a quick cast 1-drop body that has Defiant 2 and Eternal on a 4/4 that then will fixes, and then once I've killed Gary and Frecky, something that I probably want to be doing anyway, or Mistletoe dies, which is something I want to be doing anyway in Paradox, can just casually for free attack you and give my stuff Eternal, and another solid white Regalia dump target in the deck that's going to now play Anana for sure, I think is a fair check. I think it's a very fair check. To the
very
deck.
fair.
It keeps the ceiling of the deck much more comfortable, much more comfortable in the context of Paradox, which I think is what they were going for here, and so I respect that a lot. So yeah, yeah, especially with Mistletoe's Regalia, yeah, for sure. I think it's designed to curb the top end potential of what Mistletoe could do in the format, given the other restrictions that are being added to the format, to prevent it from being play Mistletoe or bust, which is good, I think, for the overall health.
It's very good.
So now we have to go all the way back up to the true context of what the biggest shakeup. All of the Tri-Stones are gone. And they do talk about how this was a difficult decision to make, and I want to bring this up here. With New Frontiers was the only competitive format. We had Seasons of Stone decks perfected to the limit. Seasons with Stone decks limited to play almost only basic stones. That is correct. I've played in those competitive seasons. And Seasons with varied stone decks, with some having easier access to a third attribute. What we liked the least about the last Paradox season was the lack of relatives while creating a stone deck. Cough, cough, everyone just splashed light and green for Demon's Blood and Cuscio. It was not very important, as it did not force anyone to decide how many stones to include after choosing their primary attribute to play a second, third, or even fourth. Yeah. And then they say here, a final comment from the testers, and this is a quote. I prefer to choose any deck that had access to a stone with 3 attributes over any that doesn't. Therefore, to give due importance to proper building of the Magic Stone deck in Paradox, and to reduce the abundance of decks with more than 3 attributes, except for prismatic decks, ones that are designed to be 5-color, we have decided to ban these cards in Paradox. The cycle of triple Magic Stones will be completed, but when we finally release them, we will do so in a way that allows them to coexist in Paradox with the other stones, or in ways that prevents this situation from happening in the future. This will create an even greater differentiation between Paradox and Wanderer, which is one of our goals for 2026. So, I agree with the thesis statement and the hypothesis of what led them to the thesis statement. Force of Will, for a very long time in Wanderer, has been your stone deck doesn't matter. Because the ability to just have perfect will every single time with the amount of raw access to colors has not mattered, which has led to a big portion of Paradox feeling like Wanderer light. because you could just play kind of whatever. So you just played the best stuff comfortably, which just meant you just took the best strategies possible and just played them. So, having this idea of wanting stone decks to matter in a naturally slower format where you will arguably see more stones and can use that to your advantage, and your opponent will then see more stones, does a couple of things. You can't just casually splash green or white in a non-green white deck, which means that Kushiel won't just be everywhere, and neither will Demon's Blood, because not everyone can just casually have the stones to be able to play them. Great. Do I think you could have just banned Demon's Blood and Kushiel out of the format? Yeah, probably, but arguably this does more than just that, so I'm fine with it. So that's one. Second, it makes the Catacomb stones relevant. Like, if you're playing, it makes the norm for deck building 2 stone, 2 color, splash a third, which I think is arguably a very nice place to have a Paradox format of 2 color decks, splash a third. For those of you who are saying, and you can disagree with me, get in the comments, tell me I'm stupid if you feel like it. That's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Everyone's like, oh, but the Pact rulers want to play 3 colors. That's a lie. They have to, they're told they can only play 3 colors. Almost all of them are 2 colors, splash a third. Like,
very much.
None of them are playing heavy-handed 3-color decks. They're all playing 2 colors with a third splash, which is exactly what this is going to then force them to do, and they will still be able to do. I've played a lot of Pact rulers, a lot of different combination Pact rulers. Very well aware of how the deck building goes for them. It's always 2 colors, splash a third. So that's that. Second, so there's that. That's the second point. Third point, we do still have a lot of dual stones in the format. They're just kind of riskier if you're worried about star scale. Counterpoint, I think star scale is bait, even with this change, because the amount of terribleness that is star scale if your opponent is playing stones that have stone types is so much of a whiff that I think it's never main boardable, and I think it's maybe sideboardable, especially with the new dinosaur hunters, who will just kill it, because they can target things that have barrier as long as you have more resonators for your opponent in a format that's heavy resonator driven. What are we talking about? The Pact rulers are in the same set with the Catacomb stones. Yeah.
To help you get to 3 colors easier. There you go.
Out of the 55 stones, there are 42 stones out of the 55 are stones without a type. I would argue that none of those have been being played anyway.
So I feel like that point is a little it's a little underbaked. And the reason is because they were not played because the Tri-Stones existed.
That's fair.
And now they were going to be looked at again.
That's fair.
Now they have less relevance.
Yeah, I do want to bring up. So there was a question that was. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the. I mean that's the assertion.
Sure.
That being said, Maddie, I would be very, very interested to know if we are gonna play basic stones.
Yeah. So I want to go through some things real quick.
Interested in that.
I want to go through some things real quick. I'm ignoring the concept of star scale for the purposes of this discussion, because legitimately I think that most decks will play 2, maybe 3 stones without stone types and feel perfectly comfortable, in which case star scale is not worth the sideboard slots for the purposes of hitting stones. That's my personal opinion. Tell me I'm wrong, tell me that I'm stupid, that's fine, you're allowed to. So I do want to talk about these things. In terms of dual stones in the format, we have Magic Stone of Knowledge doesn't have a type, but can produce any color.
It'll be prismatic.
It'd be prismatic. Um,
And Tidestone is prismatic.
Tidestone is prismatic. Um, Imaginary Satan is prismatic, potentially as well. Sacred Columns is dual stone with a type. Raven's Order is dual stone with a type. Abyssal Pit, a Turtle Infestation, Fumaroles, Tar Swamp, and Velmarnia's threefold plateau are the Catacomb Stones, which help you get into tri-stone color combinations. Just saying. It helps you get into that. You have Vestige of Velmardia's Grace, which doesn't have a type, but it does match your ruler's two colors, which is nice. You have the Crown Stone, which is great for resonators. You have the Heavy Darkness, obviously Heavy Darkness Eclipse Stones. Those are all different dual color combinations. You have these ones aren't super great. You get access to Magic Stone of Rain maybe coming back, which is nice, and you get the 4 Sea Stones, which can get all 10 of the different color combinations. So the idea of play a 2-color deck that splashes a third, I am not conceding that will not feel quote unquote a little awkward, because I agree it's going to make stone deck construction and mindfulness of that stone deck construction more important, which I think for the sake of actual main deck core construction is also a good thing for Paradox, because it prevents super greedy deck lines.
Yeah.
Which is, again, I think a big differentiation between what they want Paradox to be and what they want Wanderer to be. And so I kind of like it. Like, the more I think about it, and just go ahead. I have one more point to make about it, but I'm letting you talk about it.
So I would say, when you ignore Star Scale, the idea of going down to 2 primary colors, maybe splash a third, that to me does feel very interesting. 4 colors aren't off the table, right? Because we do have 4 sea stones for every combination, which is really nice. So you can theoretically do 3 and 4 color relatively easily. Not a problem there. I've done it in the past. It's cool. It's one of the reasons that I really liked Rhea and New Valhalla as like the sweet spot for how I want the game to feel in terms of complexity, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're kind of getting back to that with Star Scale in the format. This is what I feel like this is a real point that I can really agree with, and I want to see if you feel like this.
I'm hearing it,
Jared. I want to know. So, given that 44 of the 40 some of the 55 whatever, like 80% of the stones don't have a stone type. Mm-hmm. We're going to be getting more stones with stone types going ahead. We're halfway through Evil Cluster. So there's a little bit of easing there. They could also just ban Star Scale. I think the company wants to wait and see if it's actually going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I would like to know what deck people envision that card going in. Not because I'm asserting like anything rhetorically by saying there is no deck. I'm curious what the deck would be.
Right.
Because it feels like it might be Mistletoe, but it also might not be.
But then she doesn't get to play Gary and Frecky. Like,
then she's not playing Gary and Freaky. So like that's where I'm like, I'm curious what people envision the deck being.
Right. Exactly. That's where I'm
at. If we could figure out that part of the discussion, I want to talk more. I do like that Demon's Blood is not as accessible.
Yeah.
However, Demon's Blood is now more powerful. In the sense that if you cycle your opponent's stones.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But we have Mysteries of Feasting in the environment. The big thing that this to me does, the big thing that this to me brings to the format is it makes base green and base black a lot stronger in Paradox than they were. And arguably, those were the 2 weakest colors in Paradox for quite some time. So I kind of like that.
Okay.
Heavy red white can pretty easily play Star Scale. Sure. But again, I would also say that, we have nice answers to star scale, which is good, in the form of like hunters, the new Jurassic hunters, dino hunters, and there's some other ones too that you can do. So like the risk versus reward of star scale, I don't think you see star scale's main decked, because I don't think the risk versus rewards of it just not doing anything are worth it into a blind deck, but I could see it getting sideboarded, which is fine, I think. I just don't think it's gonna get. Yes,
Yo-Yo, I don't think
it's
that
as the game
works.
it's as the game starts, not before beginning of game triggers. So yes, you would actually get to draw 2 and then potentially do beginning of game triggers. So Gilgamesh would get to see it more often.
Okay.
But again,
okay, that's that way.
But again, I'm not even sure if you would want to do that in Gilgamesh. Yeah, it's just very side. I think it's just very a sideboardable card, which is
yeah. Fun. That's a rabbit hole. I mean, a rabbit hole.
That we're gonna.
But rabbit hole.
So here's the other.
I think we're as a community. I think we're gonna. I don't want to overhype the star scale issue.
Sure.
It could be a problem. I think it's on my watch list for next format.
So sure, which is fine. Let it exist. Like, let's see what happens, right? My other point is that what this does, Hyde can't cheat it in. It only cheats in on solo mode, and you want to play it.
Yeah, partner.
So that being said, the other thing that this does is put Hero Cluster back on the map. The idea of not playing, playing X
wild.
with Hyde is a wild called shot. That's wild. Anyway, sorry. This brings the Hero Cluster rulers immediately back into playable contention for Paradox.
100%.
Like, which is really nice.
Yeah, Blue
really
Aristella.
Nice.
Let's go.
Blue Aristella, Hyde, playing Funf. Someone mentioned Funf. Slower format. Base black has a lot of color splash ability, a lot of good darkness cards. Killua. You have more dinosaurs now. We do have
more dinosaurs. We do have more dinosaurs.
Like,
I love you, Alejandro. That's true.
Yeah, like I think there's a lot of cool stuff to bring it. Olga. A lot of good green cards.
Olga can come back.
Like, Veer.
Maybe Veer.
Maybe. But like,
maybe
the idea of like the will fixing, none of the 7 rulers from Clash. Yeah, probably not. Probably not them. Maybe some of them can come back. But they don't have Moon Children. I'm talking specifically about the Moon Children.
I think the 7 stars, the tags are great. Those are great still.
So yeah, I like that. To me, this what this does to me is I think it does create a position where stone base and deck construction are going to matter a lot more for color control, color consistency. You're going to see the influence of color consistency in games, which I think is an interesting influence. And we have had competitive seasons where that has mattered. So that's kind of nice to have that. Like Rhea and the OG New Valhalla was kind of that season, right? Like stone consistency and like making the best of what your stone like lineup ended up being like mattered. So I think that's nice. And I think it breathes life into the entirety of the current Paradox available ruler pool in a way that we were missing before. And I'm excited about that. I think that it's a very cool thing to be bringing into Paradox. That's my thought. Those my thoughts.
Yeah.
I like it.
There's a lot of new things that get to be. I think that's really cool. I like that we got some prismatic stones. For this format. I love that Dexy gets a shot in the arm, which is really nice. We don't necessarily no, I think that's all I have to say about that. I just think there's a lot of cool things that now get available in the format.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I give this list a 9 out of 10. Like,
what would have made it a 10 out of 10?
Demon's Blood and Kushio getting banned.
Sure. If it would have been 11 out of 10 for some people if we banned Star Scale.
Sure. I mean, like, again, you know,
Yeah.
it's tricky. So, like, here's the tricky part. You want a ban list to be forward thinking and backwards looking, right? A ban
Yeah.
list needs to be informed by the data that has been presented to it by tournament results. But it also needs to be forward looking in the context of what does it want the next format to look like, or what are the concerns of the next format. What we determine as a potential threat, like, we get into this all the time. Like, and we on Ruler School are not immune to it. We have a concept of what we think a card's presence in the meta will actually end up doing, how it will perform, how it will be used, and we could be absolutely right or absolutely wrong. Like, there's a very real chance that in this next format, as it has been for quite some time, that Star Scale does nothing. There is also a very real chance that, in terms of like overall success rate and like influence, that Star Scale might not actually end up having that much influence. There's a very real chance that Star Scale might end up having a lot of influence. That's not the concern question that the company felt they needed to definitively answer with this list. They said, let's present that problem to the community to see how they play it out. They put the onus of that on us, which I think that's fine. Like, that is totally fine, because the mission statement of what they want Paradox to be is pretty well frickin' stated with how they've decided to change it and how they're making Wanderer and Paradox feel different. And so I like the initiative. It's different than what I would have done, but the more I think about it, the more I like it, and the more I'm excited to play in that space. So, and this is what the FoW Fest format is going to be. So I'm very excited. You have 3 months. Yeah. 3 months of this format to test.
Lab it away.
So let's see what comes out of it.
I will say that I also don't require the company to make like 10 out of 10 banger ban lists all of the time. Like Jeremy and I said at the top of the podcast, we grew up with the Yu-Gi-Oh ban lists where those sometimes just completely missed. Right? Just completely whiffed.
Twice a year, and sometimes they did nothing. Super great.
Yeah. And sometimes it's still that way. So, like, you know, I'll take a 9 out of 10 ban list over a 3 out of 10 ban list every day of the week. Like, I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth.
I'll take a 7 out of 10 ban list over a 3 out of 10 ban list.
Yeah, I'll take a 7 out of 10. Like, I'll take a ban list where they explain why they did what they did, so I can disagree with it artistically, or no ban list at all. Yeah, like, oh no, we like this format, even though everyone else hates it.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, do you want to go over some of the Q&A cards, because there's some interesting things in here. We noted that
we can go over some of it.
Dionysus got a little bit better.
Let me go,
which is nice.
Let me go into the thing real quick.
Yeah.
In the page, because we do get the Q&A document. We haven't gotten the updated CR yet, so I'm still waiting to see some stuff on not Anathema yet. No, on the Grigori keyword or whatever it is.
Anathema.
Is it from Anathema?
Yeah.
How that replacement that's on Grigori works. I'm still kind of waiting to see a little bit if that's clarified. Alejandro's in the chat, so maybe he can clarify for us. But let's go through the Q&A. Hermes has some questions. I'm not going to go over Hermes particularly. Dionysus was clarified specifically in that it will always say it doesn't, as the card does not target, even if the card doesn't say choose up to, you do as much as possible. So your opponent doesn't have to have all these things in order for Dionysus to work, which is nice for Dionysus. It does make him feel a little bit more comfortable. It's practically impossible to do his enter effect in Paradox, but in Wanderer, go nuts. Isis clarified that this is nice, honestly, for Isis. If Seal of Yeoman, if Angelic Seal of Yeoman Guard is on the field, or a fellow anti-cheat strat is on the field, and you do the Ibka of white-red, because white-red matches her base cost, she still gets to come into play. I like that. That's nice. That's nice. For Paradox, especially. That's nice.
Yeah, that's really
Heimer clarified that if a card played from an area is considered to have been played from that area, so even though it's moving from graveyard to chase to field, it's still entering from the graveyard. So Heimer works. Hooray, that's nice. Chimimi did some stacking of some weird stuff here with how things are triggered and the fact that you can like generate the token from Chimimi and then have Jurassic Stampede kind of targeted and all those kinds of things. Clarified there. Talked about Grigori a little bit, but not the questions that I have about Grigori. So if I have 1,000 life and my opponent has 2,000 life, can I pay? You pay 200 life rather than pay up to 1x times to play this card. Even though it replaces the life I lose, paying life with each player loses that half much. No. If you want to pay a cost that includes paying life, you must be able to pay the full cost before applying any replacement effects. Therefore, in this situation, the maximum number of life you could pay would be 1,000, meaning that you and your opponent then each lose 500 life, essentially. So you have to be able to pay that in order to be able to do it. That being said, I do want to clarify something here because of how Grigori works. Specifically, the clarification that I want with Grigori, and Alejandro, you can clarify for this for me. The text of Grigori is each player loses half that much instead rounded up, but it's saying each player loses. So this is where the text of Grigori confuses me. Say I am the opponent of the Grigori player. I have 600 life. You, my opponent, who are the Grigori player with Anathema Live, have a card that says you can pay 500 life. You can pay 500 life if you do X, right? And you, the Grigori player, have 1,200 life. Does Grigori lose life thing see both of them as having to pay that cost? So like I wish I had like MS Paint to bring it up here, right? Again, Paul is the Grigori player. Paul has 1,200 life. I am the non-Grigori player. I have 600 life. Paul has an effect that says pay 500 life, do something. Paul technically has the ability to pay 500 life twice, which would actually be both of us lose 300 life. I don't have enough life to afford the ability to pay 500 life twice. Does Paul get to kill me without using the chase by using that ability twice? Or can he only pay the cost once because I don't have enough life to pay the cost the second time? I guess in this point I would have to have 500 life, not 600 life at base, because each one would be 300. That's what I'm confused about. Can you make your opponent pay life they don't have? Is essentially the course of the question. Because Grigori says each player loses life, but is that losing life still considered payment? And so I can't make my opponent pay life they don't have? That's the problem with Grigori.
Yeah. It's the word pay, right? Because it's not lose, it's pay.
Because it doesn't say each player pays half that much instead rounded up. It says instead of paying, each player loses. Those are two different words, and thus change how that card works. If it's still considered pay, that means that I have to actually have the life available to pay for it, which would mean in the context of, say, I have 100 life left. Paul is the Grigori player. Hi, Paul. I'm the non-Grigori player. I have 100 life left. Paul has an ability that is pay 400 life. I only have 100 left. Can Paul make me pay 200 life and die? I don't technically have enough
I'll
to pay
tap
the base.
Moonshade. Yeah, sure. You have 100 life. I have Grigori. I use Moonshade.
Well, that would kill me.
Jeremy-
That would kill me because I would lose 100.
Yeah.
And that's exactly. But could Paul pay an ability that said pay 400 life when I only have 100? That's the question, right? Because that would make me pay down into the negative life.
Yeah.
So that's the problem here.
Yeah. I have a resonator that says pay 400 life, draw a card. Will Jeremy die?
Or can Paul not even use that ability because it still sees that I am not able to actually pay that amount of life, and thus Paul can't activate it?
Yeah.
I know that Grigori's not worded as life payment. That's why I'm confused. Because the context matters. But the Dante Game of God sees it as life payment. Yes. That's again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That actually helps. That helps a lot. Yeah.
It's not replacing.
So it's not worded as life payment, but it's still treated as life payment. So then can we make our opponent pay life that they cannot pay in order to lose the game? I do know you can go below 0 life.
You can go below 0 life, but you can't pay life you don't have.
Yes.
So you can only ever pay down to 0. This is legitimately incredibly important for understanding how Grigori decks are going to be built.
Yes.
Like legitimately very important.
Can we burn you for game
by paying life? Can I burn you for lethal by paying life, which therefore means I can just not use the chase and kill you by playing a bunch of cards that make me pay life as cost? In my understanding, you are not forcing anyone to pay life they don't have. You pay the life replacement, both lose life. I will pass the question on to the CR person, but I'm confident on this answer. This would mean that you can, in fact, kill someone without using the chase by activating an ability that says pay life. I don't like that. I don't like it.
Which is fine in Wanderer.
That's fine in Wanderer. And then problematic when it hits Paradox.
Problematic when it's Paradox. Grigori was a mistake. I think a ruling does fix it. I think you can change the ruling of this and it fixes it. But
it's fine. Yeah. So like again, it just needs to be a clarification. If the intent of Grigori is to make it be seen as both players losing life, therefore you can't make your so again, the biggest problem I have with Grigori is this. The idea that by paying life to play an ability or a card, so before that ability even technically goes on the chase to resolve, because of the replacement of Grigori, I kill you in a way that does not use the chase. Paying cost kills you. Me paying my cost kills you. That's a precedent that I'm concerned about with Grigori. The answer of Dante is not answering the same question that you are asking, by the way. Yeah, for sure. I agree. It's a different question. Legitimately, it's a different question.
Yeah, it is a different question.
So anyway, more to come on Grigori because I have thoughts.
Yes.
Rite of Death and Rebirth. Interesting, just leaves the cards that you don't choose to cast on top of the deck in a managed order. That's fun.
Yes.
That's kind of neat.
In the correctly managed order. So you are going to be flipping one card at a time, stacking them in a nice little neat pile, and then selecting the cards, maintaining the managed set, and then putting that back on the top of the deck.
Yeah, which is logistical
Very
nightmare,
fun.
but I'm very excited about it.
There's a certain order to death.
There is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I have. I'm very excited for things. Also sounds like a judging nightmare. Agreed.
Correct.
Glad they answered the question. So there's precedent for when
Say
someone
it
messes
at the top of the tournament. Say it at the top of the tournament.
We will make sure to announce and remind people. We'll check every deck list and be like, okay, there's no liches here. No one's playing this card. We don't have to worry about it.
Just gonna put like We're just gonna put a small doll on that person's shoulder, and that doll will activate if we need it to, in order to report on whether or not
Yeah,
you
for
manage
sure, for
that
sure, for
that
sure.
or not.
But yeah, that's what we have for tonight. Pretty cool stuff, pretty exciting stuff. Feature match for this week will be non-existent. It will be it will be a box opening vid for part of Cram School. With Matt getting to crack open his first ever full box of Force of Will, because this is the first set that has released since he started, so that's pretty exciting. Then we'll be back. We have a tournament. No, I'm not caught up on videos except for deck profile videos, which I will work to get up this week. Sorry. Um, and then next week we'll be back with feature matches. And if you're a member, so our feature matches to start with are going to be Wanderer focused on the new rulers. But if you are a member, you can see the backroom brawls where we are going to be exploring the Paradox format. So if you want to see Paradox stuff, consider joining the channel as a member to get that extra footage. It's going to be a lot of fun. But thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, this is DMO73 saying, and Paul.
Me too. FoW
Saying,
Archive.
FoW Archive saying, class dismissed. Have a good night. Bye.
See you guys.